He's the managing director of Lemon Bridge Research, and we have heard, and he's a very known person to me, and he's associated in many of our groups, and the way he speaks, the way he put forth the views on a specific point, it's outstanding. So I think we are privileged to have Praveen Malla sir. He will be joining soon. So once he joins, automatically I will uh, introduce him. And then, dear friends, it is both the DAV Public School, Thane, as well as Doon Public School, Hathras, Uttar Pradesh. So these are the two team will be joining today. And even if I believe these collaboration of two schools now will happen in the days to come, we can have mutual, discussions related to a lot of other topics, which is pertaining to maybe education or maybe related to your effective teaching methods or techniques. So, educators, I believe that these days in this pandemic, this lockdown period, you all might be doing, delivering your best to your children in the school, maybe in the form of, um, online classes, or maybe, uh, you know, uh, any sort of medium by which you need to connect or you need to reach to the children, that might be happening. So today's session will be, it is absolutely on the basis of how effectively you can connect with children. That is more phenomenally it is required. So I thought of taking up this particular topic today in this discussion. So we will start exactly at 4 o'clock, and it will exactly is 1 hour this session. You all remain connected. Try to mute your voice wherever the mic is there. And if at all any questions are there, the last 5 to 10 minutes will be a question, or any queries you have can be discussed. So you can put up your queries in the chat box. So by seeing the chat box, I will certainly ask the speaker about that question, and you can hear your answer. So lovely all educators, I welcome you all to this learning session. And the learning session is going to happen on as I told you, the topic is encouragement to learn and deliver effectively during this period. This is the topic. I will, request all of you to be ready and alert and to have another webinar series today. So I'm just waiting, Praveen sir, to join. Sir, good afternoon. Have you joined? Just about to join. Is trying to join.
Connected, sir.
Yes. Praveen sir, good afternoon. He is trying to join, but somewhere the other, he's trying since last 3 minutes.
तर एक मिनिट थांब नाही ते झोपलीस तर काय होईल म्हणजे तुला 10 वेळा मला मध्येच गेलं मग
Kindly unmute everyone's voice.
Hello.
Hello, Praveen sir.
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, that's lovely. Lovely, nice. Welcome you, sir. It
Thank you
is
so much.
something very privileged for me that you have accepted my just a kind invitation and you joined with us. So we are, almost 70 educators from DAV school and my Doon Public School, two schools teachers will be joining you.
Okay.
So, Praveen sir, let me all educators welcome you all. Let me introduce Praveen sir. Praveen Malla has about 2 decades of industry experience in diverse sectors like research and consulting, media and entertainment, IT and training. Till recently, he was heading Lemon Bridge Research, a strategy advisor that predominantly operated in the knowledge space. Also, for a brief period, he was the head of the 40-year-old reputed Center for Organization Development, Hyderabad. He has been a management consultant and entrepreneur for over 7 years now. He is also a visiting faculty in multiple E and B schools and has the distinction of teaching large classrooms with 250 to 400 students in auditoriums. He is also a strategy and innovation consultant to multiple top companies, including the Tata Group. He is also visiting faculty at Harkin School of Economics, Helsinki, one among the top economics university in the world. Incidentally, he teaches corporate governance at Hanken too. Currently, alongside his consulting engagement, he is also head of a social enterprise that is supported by IIT Bombay alumni. He has rich exposure to various functions like corporate strategy, alliance and partner management, innovation management, business research and consulting, content and publication management, sales and contribution, and education and training. He has rich experience in curriculum design and crafting experiential business projects for his university clients. He sits on the boards of private and public universities, autonomous B schools, academy industries, and boards. Earlier, he worked for companies like Aptech Limited, Bennett Coleman and Company, the Times Group, and Infosys in various capacities. At Infosys, he was the head of the thought leadership practice and was responsible for creating and nurturing the innovation ecosystem of the company. He has won multiple national, uh, you know, He has won multiple national and international awards for his innovation and creativity in industry-sponsored thought leadership publication space. Awards include the Best Global Technology Publication Editor, Best International Journal Editor, highest award for excellence in technical communication. He has authored over 50 research paper, articles, book, chapter in various national and international journals. He has also authored a book on corporate governance published by Taylor and the Francis, United Kingdom. Praveen is a compulsive and continuous reader, and his qualification, which includes he is in MA Literature, Psychology, and Philosophy in MA, LLB, and PhD. Praveen is an avid reader and reads upwards of 120 books a year. Dear friends, 120 books a year. His personal library can put most institutional library to shame for the breadth of collection it hosts. He regularly recommends books on LinkedIn and on other closed social media groups. He is a very passionate about education and shares his view from time to time on various media. So dear friends, let me all get the honor to welcome Dr. Praveen Malla, the Managing Director of Lemon Bridge Research. And today he is there with us to discuss or to encourage all of us, encouragement to learn and deliver effectively during this pandemic period. Sir, over to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Lovely.
And good evening to all of you. I speak a bit too fast, and if you feel that I'm too fast, please stop me so that I can stop. I can get a bit slower. When I speak fast, I think better. Yeah?
Okay, please,
So
I know.
this holds for every single conversation that I have, every single talk that I give. Okay,
Yes.
so as Dr. Nayak has already introduced, I'm Praveen Malla, and I earn my livelihood offering strategy and innovation consulting advisory. I predominantly operate in the education space and offer advisory to edutech startups, to public and private universities, autonomous B schools, e-publishing and content management companies, etc. So alongside that, I'm also a social entrepreneur and work in the rural and semi-urban areas of AP and Telangana. I create livelihood opportunities for educated, unemployed youth. I get rural women become self-reliant through multiple entrepreneurial schemes that I have, and I help farmers understand business life cycles and ways to adapt to them. So, and obviously I'm not at it all alone. I have a huge support from like-minded IITB alumni, some of them as volunteers, some of them as partners, and some of them as charity funds. In the recent times, I have been giving multiple talks and conducting virtual workshops for educators all across the country on various issues related to education. I must admit that I'm not a K-12 educator, and my only understanding of K-12 is due to two school-going kids I have at home. However, I have a very decent understanding of the global education. That's what I feel. I have a very good understanding of the education landscape, global education landscape, but primarily in the higher education space, not in the K-12 space. But having said that, I must also say that the principles of learning and teaching are universal, and they apply equally well to all levels of education. Levels notwithstanding, it could be K-12, it could be higher education, secondary education, it could be senior secondary education, it could be a tertiary education, anything. And in as far as I see, it is far more challenging to teach K-12 students than it is to university students. And as teachers, you are doing a great job of seeding various skills in impressionable young minds, and a big salute to all of you. So I still remember with a lot of affection a couple of my school teachers. I did a major part of my schooling in a railway school, and then for the last 2 years of my secondary schooling, I joined a very famous and elite school in Kolkata. It was Calcutta then, Kolkata now. I must say that my railway school teachers were leagues ahead of the elite school teachers in terms of pedagogy. So while the focus of the elite school was on finishing off the syllabus portions, my railway school teachers, despite their secure jobs, were more focused on imparting life skills. And I loved their pedagogy. I really loved their pedagogy, and I continue to feel that they did real justice to K-12 teaching. The only positive that the elite schools or the elite, any elite school would have had over railway school was in the gentry. Yeah, students actually came from very affluent families and very influential families in the elite school. And every class had one or two students from the riffraff who were in the class primarily because of the strength of their academic competence. In my class, I was the only one from the riffraff of the society. My father was actually a railway employee, and therefore a nobody in social status in as far as the elite school was concerned. I was more at home in the railway school because socially I belonged there. My class fellows were all kids of railway employees and aspired to join the railways post their education. And thankfully in a way, my father felt that I did not belong to the railway school. So while the elite school helped me shape my professional aspirations, my railway school helped me get grounded in real education. Now, why am I telling you all this? I'm telling you all this because I feel if teachers put in the right effort, they can simply change the trajectory of their students. Teachers are the unsung heroes of any nation. And fortunately, some countries like say Finland, Singapore, Hong Kong, Norway, Sweden, these kind of countries have realized that teachers are very important, and therefore they give a lot of importance to teachers. In fact, teaching is a proper career path in some of these countries. just like we have IAS and IPS and now civil services and engineering and all that. It's a very proper what you call career choice for people there. Okay, now cut to the chase. My railway school teachers did not have a great grounding in rigor. They made up for that with their efforts to remain relevant. Now, there are two important things that we need to understand: rigor and relevance. Okay, these are two things which I always keep talking in whichever forum I get in terms of understanding, in terms of articulating the value or the quality of education. Rigor and relevance. Yeah. So my railway school did not have that kind of the necessary rigor, but it had the teachers actually made themselves very relevant. Yeah. So very early on, they have realized that kids love stories and concepts that could be taught in story forms. Okay. So the narrated stories, at least for me, those stories made a lot of impact. I would long for the sun to rise as I found school more interesting than my house. And trust me, I would wait for the mornings. Okay. And say Mrs. Ghosh, Mrs. Malik, Mrs. Ray, Mrs. Menon, Mrs. Puspalata, Mrs. Gregory, Mrs. Rajeshwari. I mean, they are exemplary teachers. And I am not young, I'm above 40 and still I can remember the names. I still have the same affection for them. I love them a lot. Okay. I don't know where they are now, but then yes, they were great teachers. These teachers actually set the benchmark for teaching, and I have accumulated quite a number of degrees later in life, but never really found any teacher closer to that, to their teaching competence. I mean, I've been to university, I've done even PhD. I have met hundreds of teachers. I have been a faculty. I have met hundreds and thousands of teachers. But trust me, I'm telling you, those were the teachers who could not be beaten in terms of the quality of education that they have given imparted. And when I say quality, I'm not talking about rigor, I'm talking about relevance. And when I talk about relevance, I primarily talk about application based skills and skills that I picked up from them, which I today use. And I'm very proud of that. These teachers actually set the bar too high for me to appreciate any other teacher or any other professor in my life. So Dr. Nayak has been facilitating quite a lot of learning sessions virtually for his peers and colleagues. And I'm observing actually with a lot of keenness the efforts he's putting in to bring together a lot of experts and getting them to speak on some thoughtfully curated, nicely curated themes.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. So his message that I do a session for his school, particularly for his teachers, in a way actually amazed me. I remember all along he has been facilitating sessions for the entire K-12 network, and possibly some of you are part of it. But now asking for an exclusive session for his teachers of Doon Public School, Hathras, it goes to explain his commitment to get his own teachers benefit in whatever small way that is. Yeah. So the topic for today's session is encouragement to learn and deliver effectively during this period. Let me see if I can do some amount of justice to this topic. I'm not very sure whether I can do justice, but I'll try to do. Sorry. So first off, let me first congratulate you and all teachers all across the country for trying to smoothly transition to the newer models of student engagement. Lots of congratulations to all of you teachers. I know it is really very difficult, actually very difficult. Especially when your students are digital natives and the equation has reversed quite a bit now. You are doing the chasing. The teacher is doing the chasing. Now, unlike in the earlier case where the students were chasing you. Now, what are you chasing? You're chasing you're chasing for the students' attention in a turf actually in which they're very competent in. You are chasing to learn technology that they or their parents are adept at. And you're chasing to seamlessly migrate from a physical learning space to a virtual learning one. And it's simply not easy, certainly it's not easy. Now, what could be your big challenges? And as far as I understand, there are 8 big challenges. I'll try to see if I can recollect all the 8 challenges that I have in my mind and probably maybe coherently articulate them. Challenge number 1 is management is pushing you to deliver, and it's just not about Doon Public School. I'm talking, this is a generic statement that I'm trying to make. It is just not Doon Public School or DAV. Across the country, I have been in touch with a lot of schools, K-12 schools, and this is the feelers I'm getting. This is the kind of feedback I'm getting from faculty. management is actually pushing you to deliver online classes even while you are trying to get a hang of it, right? You simply probably some of you are very competent with technology, but some of you that are not that exposed to technology, you are finding it a bit challenging. Okay. So Damocles sword is constantly hanging on you. You know, you have to deliver, come what may. There is no probation period. Interestingly, in this, there is simply no probation period for you. You have to learn and you have to implement in real quick time and in real time. Your learning window is really small, and that's a huge challenge. That I feel is the biggest challenge that you have. The second challenge is your exposure to the digital world is primarily, and when I'm saying you, please don't take it on yourselves. You know, it is not personal. It is simply not personal. It's a generic statement I'm making, and I could be wrong always. Yeah. So your whatever exposure that you have to the digital world is primarily via your presence on WhatsApp, on Facebook, and maybe also on LinkedIn. A majority of you are probably not on Instagram, you're not on Snapchat, and probably you're not on a whole host of other digital platforms that your students are on. In fact, you must never have felt the need to onboard yourselves onto contemporary digital platforms. Actually, there was never a need for you, right? And so that's the second biggest challenge. Sorry. Kiran is asking if I could come on video. I'm really sorry. I have a very patchy network here, and I have a corporate network in at my home, and I have 10 people
Yes.
usually logging into my network. So I usually go off the video. So I'm really sorry for that. So yeah. So the third point I feel, which is very challenging for you, is in a physical learning space. There are certain comforts. You have the comfort of exchanging pleasantries with your students. Hi, hello, good morning, whatever. Nice. And hello.
Yes, sir. Please continue.
Yeah. So you can actually gauge the students' body language and fine tune your teaching speed. You can fine tune your teaching tone. You can fine tune your teaching content. Physical learning space offers you a certain warmth and a sense of belongingness, which the virtual world simply does not offer. On the contrary, today's kids are far good at expressing themselves in the comfort of anonymity, and anonymity that is provided by the virtual world. So, the challenge is here is that of not being able to rightly read the mood of the class in a virtual learning space. Yeah. So that was the third challenge. The fourth challenge is you have the challenge of curating sessions that would be consumed by the student virtually, right? So you're not sure if the student understands the so curated class. So while you're eager to address any queries that the student may have, you're not sure if the student would ask any question at all. So there is always a possibility that the student may want to Google out any doubts that she has. Now that puts your teaching skills in direct competition with the millions of knowledge resources available on Google, which was very difficult for the student in a classroom atmosphere, right? That is your fourth challenge. So you're competing with millions of other resources. You're not able to redress or address the doubts in real time. Okay, and primarily not because you don't want to, but because of a number of other issues. Issues could be that of infrastructure, issues could be that of student shyness. Students probably would not want to ask you any questions. They would say, okay, fine, I understand this. Now let me, even if they don't understand it, say, I understand this. Let us get into Google and check what the teacher says. So now the fifth challenge is that of technology. So the fifth challenge is that of technology. Which platform to use is a very big question. Some of your peers feel that WhatsApp is the right tool to employ to offer virtual classes, and some of them may feel that Google classes are appropriate, right? Some may suggest my kids are actually getting lessons on WhatsApp and on Google classes. And as a parent, as someone who is well adept with technology, I find that ridiculous actually. Okay, anyway, so some may suggest Facebook Live and some may suggest the good old email. The point is, are these the platforms of choice for the student? Does the student enjoy engaging with you on these platforms, or are you shoving your choice down the gullets of your students? Now, this is certainly a challenge. This is a very important challenge. This is a very big challenge. You think WhatsApp is the right platform. You think that Google Classroom is the right platform. You think Facebook Live is the right platform. But probably you're not aware that you are shoving down your choice on the student. The student probably is not interested in these platforms at all. Yeah. So now another challenge is, say for example, you have chosen whatever technology tool. Now the challenge is that of organizing your content as per the demands of the tool, right? You cannot send a 25 slide PowerPoint presentation to your students via WhatsApp. Nor can you send a whole host of quadratic equations on WhatsApp. Even assuming that you have carefully solved that calculus problem or the trigonometry problem in your notebook and click the picture and send it to your student via, say, a WhatsApp or an email, you still cannot assure yourself that the student has understood what you really meant to convey, even if it was as straight as equations, right? So that's another problem with you, with another challenge that you're facing. The seventh challenge that you're facing is you do not receive any feedback for your sessions. And even if you do sporadically, you are not enticed to respond. And that is fair enough. Classroom ambience gives you instant gratification, right? When you're in the classroom and the kids ask you questions, you answer these questions, it gives you instant gratification when you respond to their doubts. Online ambience does not offer you that kind of warmth. Okay, and obviously you have 100 different things to do while at home. You have your own kids that you have to tend to, right? So that is another challenge. The eighth and most important challenge of all is now your teaching constituency has altered beyond your imagination. In the school premises, you know who your student is. You have worked with them or have been among them for over 40 hours, say, for example, every week. So you know your students, you know their strengths, you know their weaknesses, you know the triggers at work, and you know how to handle their queries. Soon after you have migrated to the online world, you have realized that it is not just the student that consumes your teaching, but also his parents and grandparents. I mean, if there are grandparents also in the house, right? And now you are under far more rigorous scrutiny than you would have otherwise anticipated. And I think Dr. Naik knows I've been writing quite a lot of such messages on a WhatsApp group where there are a lot of teachers. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So for us, it is very important to understand that now as teachers, we are exposing ourselves to more number of people than our direct stakeholders, right? So in the physical classroom, students could cut you a bit of slack in case you derailed once in a while. That is not possible in a virtual teaching space anymore. And add to that the fact the content you send to the student is permanently getting stored on hard drives at the other end, right? And in fact, very recently, just about last week, I guess, in a group that Dr. Naik is, I have sent across a snapshot of an assignment that my kid's school teacher has sent. And obviously there was an English teacher, English teacher has sent something which has a tense issue. Okay, past tense, present tense issue. So, and it is getting stored. I'm seeing it, my wife is seeing it, and lots of other parents are seeing that. And then we start assessing the quality of, ascertaining the quality of the teacher, right? So how can you face all these challenges? How can you? I don't find anything wrong with the teacher that has sent us a wrong what you call English assignment or whatever to my kid. I feel that probably the teacher was under tremendous stress, and I don't find her wrong. I find her to be under tremendous stress. So how do you face all these challenges? No, I guess this is what exactly you would be interested in knowing. And my suggestions, could sound actually very, very mundane, very run-of-the-mill kinds, but trust me, believe me, while they are not difficult to implement, they are not easy to follow either. So over the past 2 months, actually, I've been pleading with both school administrators as well as school teachers on various fora that they not be in a hurry to migrate to online teaching. Please don't migrate to online teaching unless you're competent. Online teaching is not a physical is not a school's forte, right? Neither does a school have enough digital infrastructure to execute online teaching to perfection, nor do the teachers have the requisite skills unless they're trained to handle online sessions. And most importantly, these are challenges at the consumption end too, be it internet infrastructure, be it power failures, and even as mundane as and as multiple distractions available to the kids like TV, siblings, household chores, and whatnot. So first step for all teachers and management is to situate the real USP that schools have over online learning platforms. And I repeat this again, you have to understand, you have to comprehend the real strengths you have as physical schools and the strengths that you have over online learning platforms. Point number one, first strength, schools have physical infrastructure, right? Schools have physical infrastructure. Schools offer a physical space for kids outside their homes, isn't it? Schools offer a social platform where kids can interact with each other. Schools offer playgrounds. They offer play areas. They offer cafeterias. They offer libraries, labs, and lots of other socialization spaces where students can hang around, where they can network, where they can socialize. Schools organize real life activities, you know. They organize real functions. They organize real life competitions. Schools offer life-size teachers, and this is very important for me. When schools offer life-size teachers who they can physically see, where the kids can actually physically see and interact with, unlike the thumbnails that they see on their screens. Now, what I see on my screen is a lot of you as thumbnails, you know, so that comfort factor is lost. But if I see you face to face, I would love to learn from you. You know, that excitement gets built up. Okay, so schools offer the students a sense of belonging, a sense of ownership, ownership of actual premises, of the school premises, right? Every kid says, this is my school. I mean, the kind of ownership that the kids demonstrate is something which only physical schools can offer. Now, a kid will not come and say, look, this is my learning platform. You know, everyone has a learning platform. But kid will obviously, when he passes by that school, he will say, look, this is my school. I used to study in this school, or I'm still studying in this school, whatever. You know, the kind of ownership that you give to the kid is unrivaled. It's unparalleled, right? So schools offer the students respite from their ever monitoring parents and elders. And this I feel is the biggest thing that you're offering. You know, as a kid, I mean, I was always under scrutiny by my parents, you know, so I would want to get out of the house. And you are giving me an opportunity. You're actually giving me a wonderful opportunity to come to you. I don't want to be under the prying lens of my parents always, you know. So you're offering that opportunity to me, right? And most importantly, and I cannot emphasize this enough, you know, schools offer friendships and are the biggest peer communication platforms for the students. And I think this is the premise on which we will build the next part of our session. Schools offer friendships, and they are the biggest peer communication platforms for the students. And students come to school every single day, not because they're enamored by their classroom lectures. Let us be honest with this. And I think I'm pretty blunt with my commentary, but then let us be very honest. Kids do not come to school every day because they are excited by classroom lectures. They come to school to share their stories with their friends, to listen to their friends' stories, to offer their peers an outlet. Hello? Yeah, Dr. Naik,
yes,
you wanted to say? Yeah.
No, continue.
Yeah, so the students actually come to the school to offer their peers, their class fellows, an outlet to vent out their feelings and to share their experiences outside of the house, what the experiences that they've had in the house, outside of the school. They come to school to compete with their peers, to antagonize their peers. Yeah, to antagonize, to pick arguments and fights with their peers. Yes, they come for that. In the process, because you have fixed up class timings, they all listen to you. And this is something which you have to be open about in understanding. So if you heard it well, you would understand that peers are the focal point of any student's school experience, right? You can always say, what I'm saying is humbug. Okay, I would request you to relive your school memories and recollect one incidence of, wow, when I was struggling with trigonometry, my math teacher empathized with me and repeated the lesson for me. As against, I still remember Piyush emptied my lunchbox and acted ignorant even when we was caught. Or say, oh God, what a fight that was between Ramesh and Bablu outside the school ground after school hours. No sooner did the school bell ring, okay, the entire class ran out to the ground to egg a fight between these two morons. Hope they're doing well in life today. Yeah. So let me check out if they're on Facebook, right? So you remember your friends. You don't remember the trigonometry question that your faculty has solved for you, right? So this is the premise on which I'll be building my the subsequent part of the session. And probably I'll also take you through a small demo. So the big question for you is, can you offer a student a virtual school environment? The same kind of environment that is physically there. You're probably able to sense the fact that they're missing the class fellows, right? You're interacting with them, probably you also already get it, that they're missing their class fellows, their buddies, their peers, right? Can you as a school and as teachers offer them an environment, though it is virtual, that will help them network with each other? They must already be talking to each other or phone or texting to each other, right? Sorry. Sorry. So, but the fact remains that they still do not get the classroom feel. Can you offer them that feel? Can you please offer them that feel? This session is about solutions, and there can be numerous questions, but Dr. Naik suggested that I speak on how to deliver effectively during this period, right? So I guess he's seeking for some possible solution, if I may. Let me build a chronology of steps, very mundane, very simple sounding, but tough for those that are not vested in 24/7 engagement, right? So, and you heard it right. I mean, 24/7 engagement. I strongly believe that a teacher job is a 24/7 job, just like the police's. You are proxy parents, if I may, right? Let me see if I can open up one demo for you. Okay, let me do that. But while I'm doing that, let me also tell you what the steps could look like. So step one, form class teams via available digital tools. It could be via WhatsApp, could be Facebook groups, could be anything that your school uses. But I have a huge bias towards Slack. Slack is a nice app, and I'll tell you the reasons for that. Just let me. Can I share my screen?
Yes, sir. You can share this screen.
Okay.
Just,
Okay, so
it's done. Just check.
yeah. So can you see it?
Yes. Just it is a blank screen.
It's a blank screen, yes. So now what I'm doing is I'm just typing in Slack in Google.
Slack.
All right. So I open Slack. So in this, I sign in. So what I have done is, for your comfort, I have created a workspace for you in this. It is called DPS Hathras. Okay. So I have created a screen for you, and please trust me, I am not selling Slack to you. I am not a salesman for Slack. I'm very enamored. I'm very passionate about education, and I feel Slack is a wonderful team communication platform. It is a corporate communication platform, but I feel it is also relevant to the schools. So I'm suggesting this. You can always figure out your own platform. So
Right.
I'm trying to log in, and then let me show you how things work. So this is how the web interface would look like. But then what I'll do is I will just move from the web interface and go to the app. I have an app. Okay, so I've downloaded that app directly. This is just to show you that, well, you can also place your client on the web. Okay. So now let me tell you. Now this Slack that you see is an incredible team communication platform. It is very easy to install, and it does not eat into your internet bandwidth. See, this is what you're. It does not eat into your internet bandwidth, right? Most importantly, it helps you organize your content. Okay, so where did I create this? Yeah, this one. Yeah, so you can create multiple channels within the same workspace, and I'll tell you what exactly these channels and all that mean. I guess, say for example, you are a chemistry teacher. If someone is a chemistry teacher here, you'll understand this, or you can be your own whatever subject you teach, you can pick from there. So say for example, you're a chemistry teacher and you're teaching say class 8 chemistry. And I guess you have to teach concepts like metals and non-metals, fibers, combustion and all that, right? Okay, so what I did here is, I assume that this class is being taught by a chemistry teacher. Okay, so I have created a workspace only for the chemistry teacher here. So what I have done is I have gone to this channels here, and I have added, say for example, I have added combustion. I have created a channel. Say for example, synthetic fibers is what you're going to teach. Okay. So I write some description, this class, this channel hosts sessions on synthetic fibers. And then I create this, right? So see, and then I can add all my students here. Who are the students are, say for example, just 1 second, let me pick out Professor Naik's email ID. And I'm adding him there. So Dr. Naik would already have gotten a message.
Yes.
Okay, so now he's part of this team. So what I can do is I can keep on adding, as I can add as many students as I want, right? I would invite them. So they come here. Now what happens is they can download this app onto their mobiles. They can also download this app onto their laptops or whichever screen they have, it doesn't matter. Okay, this is a pretty much fungible, pretty much portable, what you call app. Okay, so now I can put in whatever content I want in that synthetic fibers. I can write my lectures in this, and if I feel that I don't want to write lectures, but I want to do a video, I want to do whatever, I mean video, audio, and there are hundreds of apps that Slack offers. So I do, say for example, I can pick and choose those apps. See, you have Zoom, you'll be having Zoom in this. There is a BlueJeans. Okay, I hope, let me take it here. So you can see Zoom is there. You can actually add Zoom into that. The point is, you can plug and play. You can actually play around with this app like crazy. So now in this in this app, you can create exclusive discussion channels for each of these concepts. Whatever concepts you have, synthetic fibers, I've created metals, I've created combustion, fiber. Okay, you can create a channel to host your assignments. I have already done that here. Okay, another channel, for example, to host rules. I will show you how I do it. So it gives you a really nice example. This is one class I used to do for a senior school, for a university. And let me see if I have rules mentioned here. Rules. So I have assignments. Kids could come and crib. They can write whatever they would want to write, and the lectures are separate. Lectures would be hosted somewhere else within this. Then there is a biblio, lots of things, and then there is a bidding game that I would run with the kids, with the students, right? So lots of things can be done. So you can do whatever you would want. In this, you can set up your own rules. have channels for the tests. Say for example, in this, sorry. This way. So I have created test one. You can create n number of tests or whatever number of tests you would want to have. And yet, even while having all this nice content, you can also have encourage light-hearted conversations. And I have named it Gupshup here. If you see, there is a Gupshup channel where kids can come and talk about anything that they want to talk about, any fun stories, any lockdown stories, anything, right? So the first step is to first go and create a Slack account for your course. Just don't give them your lectures or don't teach them via WhatsApp. I mean, that's the lowest level of technology use. Okay, so use Slack or probably River or whatever. I mean, there are lots of such apps available. Slack is the best that I see. Yeah, so the first step is to go and figure out which app suits you. And Slack does not take too much of internet bandwidth. So step two is to onboard all the students onto Slack. Onboard all the students here. This is where you onboard, you call all of them, right? You add all your students. Okay. And remember, teacher can have her own Slack workspace for every teacher can have her own workspace for her class, right? So for example, a chemistry teacher can have a chemistry workspace, a physics teacher can have a physics workspace. I think you have a science subject, right? Civics teacher can have a civics workspace like that. Alternatively, one entire single class can have one workspace, class 8, class 9, class 10, and all the teachers can be part of that workspace, each having their own channels. But that would be a huge mess, and I wouldn't recommend that. Remember, this is a nice way to score brownie points from parents, especially from those parents that have knowledge of digital technologies. Trust me, if my schools, my kids' schools use this, I would actually consider the teachers as really amazing teachers and incredible teachers. No, so obviously this is a bias that I have. Okay, so what happens is you move from level 1 of virtual teaching to level 10 right away, primarily because of the engagement you offer via Slack. Okay, step 3, first thing is that you have downloaded this app. Second thing is that you have onboarded students onto the Slack. Third thing is to ensure student engagement. Do not force them to come at a time you are available. Remember, you are on a 24/7 job. So once you post the content of your session in whichever format, video, audio, PowerPoint, scanned images, yes, you can post multiple formats. And in fact, I would want you to spend some time to learn all the apps that can be seamlessly integrated with this application, with Slack. You allow the students to consume the content at their own pace during the day. Encourage them to engage with you on any, you create a doubts channel. Say, for example, you say, you create one channel which says doubts. Okay. Okay. And say, whatever doubts you have, just put it there. So what happens is, just like in a classroom, you can address the entire class and resolve the doubt, right? Step 4. Now, if you wish, you can also onboard the parents, right? If you wish, now understand this, if you wish, you can also onboard the parents, but create a completely private channel exclusively for them. Say, for example, I create a channel for parents, okay, and then make it private. I just click on the button there, and then I make it private. So when I make it private, what happens is, you see a lock here. You see a lock here, which means only you and the parents can see what is happening there, what kind of conversations happen there, whatever discussion happens there, only you and the parents can see, but not the students. Students cannot see what is happening inside. Okay, so you can make the channel private. Just hang around on Slack for some time and you'll get to know how to do that. In this parents only private channel, do not add students. That is what I'm trying to tell you. Keep it private and exclusive only for the parents. Share your concerns there. Build your relationship with parents there, but ensure that you talk to them as equals and not as someone way below your station. Build a relationship, build trust. It is quite possible that some parents could be rude to start with, that's very much possible. So please understand that they are anxious too, right? They have never been through this kind of a situation ever earlier. So their way of communication could be rude, but you're not to mimic them. You're not supposed to mimic them. use the group's dynamics to work in your favor. Respond to any parental queries with a lot of interest and with a lot of sincerity. With good response to one parent, you win the heart of others, and this will become your support system later on. Right? Alongside all the steps, a contiguous step is that of investing in building relationships with students, and this is non-negotiable. This is simply non-negotiable. Okay, do not play I am teacher, your student kind of game. Instead, play yes beta, your friend and guide, and tell me how can I help you kind of game. And this might look a bit crude, but then this is how it is. Once in a while, ask them to tell the lockdown stories, and then you see there is a gupshup channel here, right? So once in a while, try and see, ask them if they have some lockdown stories to tell, but don't talk as if you're giving them an assignment, right? This should come naturally. Maybe you could, in a very fun way, slip in a story about yourself and how things are with you, or maybe talk about your kids and how they're coping up with their friends, without their friends and all that, right? So don't say they're coping up very well. Create a negative hook, and this is very important. I mean, this is very important from a psychology perspective. Don't say my kids are really doing good and they're coping up well without their friends and all that. You know, when you do that, you don't encourage the other students to come back with stories to tell you, right? tell them that they're missing their friends, and tell them that they cannot wait to go back to school. Do not be pompous about your kids, and do not say that they're using this lockdown time to learn karate or to learn cooking or whatever. You can say all that to the parents, but not to the students. You will then appropriately cater to both their ego states. You know, that you are catering to the parents' ego state as well as the students' ego state. And once in a while, it's okay not to teach. Just spend some time listening to them. Let the discussion actually go whichever way it is going. Okay, discuss on whatever they're going through. I mean, whatever the difficulties, whatever their accomplishments, etc. No. It is very important for you to understand this is not an easy task. Students do not generally open up to teachers, so you need to play this very good. So you need to play this really good. Reach out to some proactive students very proactively and tell them that they are your anchors, and they'll then try to take their help to mobilize the class's action. Tell them that the future is that of digital engagement, and that they can learn how to engage stakeholders digitally by helping you. A major part of the engagement should be and these I repeat again, a major part of the engagement on Slack should be student driven and should not be teacher driven. You can play the silent listener or facilitator's role, and at times just allow the engagement to flow freely. Do not interrupt. In fact, if you see on the left hand side, there are lots of workspaces that I have. In fact, I work on 19 different workspaces, and I roughly interact with every class has around 200, 250, around 200 to 400 students, you know. So you can imagine the kind of numbers I'm dealing with. And trust me, I remember everyone's name. I remember what assignments I've given them. And obviously this is at a university level. And once again, I repeat, teaching school kids is not a joke. It is simply not a joke, and I cannot do that. You know? So, so only when the students interact with each other seamlessly and are not bogged down by your online presence, you know you have struck the right chords and you have built a relationship. And when I'm saying on the left hand side, you see a lot of these things. You know, the students actually, they interact with each other, and they know that sir is there, but he's a ghost. He looks, but he doesn't bother. Okay, he will come in only when it is required. Okay, so they enjoy conversation. So what is happening is I'm offering them a university. I'm offering them a university from the comforts of their home, right? So now, by using a team communication platform like Slack, you have kind of created a school-like environment where multi-party communication happens, right? So students get to meet their peers in a class setting, and they get to discuss whatever they wish within the confines of their virtual class, and they nourish and nurture incredible camaraderie. That is how I feel. And if your school, and this is very important, I think Dr. Naik will want to listen to this. If your school has enough funds and is willing to invest, then get a virtual reality or augmented reality driven school ambience created. While most schools would be unwilling to see an investment on this, Okay, I can assure you that 10 years down the line, this would be the most common tech trend in schools. So even if the lockdown extends into years, you can still offer VR experience, virtual reality experience, where the student can virtually feel like entering the school gates, smelling the fresh flowers in the garden, feeling the sand and gravel below his shoes,
Lovely.
skidding, skidding into the classroom, sitting in his chair or bench of choice or whichever of choice, pranking with his class fellows, and at the same time listening to your sessions. All the while he's sitting in some corner of his study room or bedroom at home. Yeah. So better yet, I would also say stop depending on WhatsApp and Facebook to deliver your sessions. Instead, ask your school to invest in professional digital interactive platforms, and say, for example, New Line Broadcast. This is a what you call multi-party broadcast product that is available, instrument available, and it is sold by New Line Interactive. There are many such companies offering beautiful products. Please invest in those products. Ask your management to invest in the right technologies. Ask your management to train you on these technologies. A digitally prepared teacher is the teacher of tomorrow. Rest will become obsolete. It's obvious.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So do not become obsolete. Become effective. More importantly, enjoy the process of teaching. You know, if not physically, if not in the physical classroom, enjoy virtually. I mean, amazing. You know, at the end of the day, the teacher does not enjoy the student. The teacher does not really enjoy. It is the student who will actually suffer. And here we are preparing our students to become policymakers of tomorrow. Or say engineers of tomorrow, or say doctors of tomorrow, scientists of tomorrow. And these kids will hold the keys to our own kids' future. So let us invest ourselves fully in their future. You know, so this is how it is. And I would end this talk with a disclaimer. I have no material interest in Slack application, nor am I being paid to talk about it. It is just that I love the interface it offers. And though it is being sold in the market as a corporate team platform, corporate team communication platform, I would say, I feel it is equally good for an educational institution's communication needs. So thank you so much for your time.
That's lovely. I think a vision, something differently, it has been told by Praveen sir. And last time also we heard it, and many of the people, they were inquiring about it. But the today's presentation was very, very more clear and valid, to the need of the present education scenario. I hope the educators might have liked it. This is something which is very friendly to use it, and I think virtually the children will enjoy too. So can I have a few questions, if at all anyone who wants to have a discussion, want to have a query? A very informative session, I believe, Praveen sir, and I can open up with one or two questions from the educators, those who are listening. If any doubts into it, how this thing will happen, whether it is going to be effective or not, whether it is going to be, all be accepting this particular phenomenon or not. So any sort of things which you feel in your mind, you can always welcome. We have 2 to 3 minutes time with us, and even though Praveen sir, it was very, very informative. I could have all that day also I got it, and I was in the mean of getting up all these things, because for that only I called you, so that I will have a better perspective to know more in details about it. I think it has given a very clear picture about whatever you have spoken to.
I don't want to be construed as someone who is selling Slack. You know, I'm not a Slack salesman, and I've got nothing to do with Slack. Just that I've been using it right from 2014 onwards, from the time that they have set up the app. I have been using it, and I first started using it while I was with the Hanken School of Economics in Finland. And students really went crazy with the interface. In fact, I always personally believe that as a faculty, you are supposed to be available to your students 24/7, and they would simply go crazy, because whenever they would have some kind of doubts, and they would actually drop in a message late into the night at 2 o'clock, and then by 2:05 they would get a solution from me. And
Wow.
they would like, we have never ever seen this kind of experience. We have never ever experienced this kind of stuff. You know, we have never ever had this kind of interface with our faculty. And actually, I became a bit of, I became pretty well known in Finland only primarily because I was using Slack, not because I was doing bigger circus while teaching, but just because I was using Slack and I was good at using Slack. Yeah. And now over the last 6 years, actually, I've been using this. And I'm not a full-time faculty anywhere. I run businesses. And the point is, I'm very passionate about education. I teach in E and B schools, and the large size B school, large size schools, classrooms are what are usually given to me, where students about 250 and anywhere between 250 and 400 students are there, and I teach in auditorium settings. And trust me, I'm telling you. Just because just because I use Slack even before I get into the classroom, you know, they have the students, you know, they have wonderful experience. They feel that this faculty is something, you know, because they feel that they can relate to me. It's more important to establish a personal connect with the students. It is very important to establish a personal connect with the students. I know all the 6,000 students that I have taught in the last whatever number of years. I personally know all the 6,000 students I have taught. I personally know all their parents. You know, that is the kind of connect that I have, and I'm just not aggrandizing. I'm not exaggerating anything. I'm telling you the truth. And
that is one-to-one attention we could give from this, which I could understand.
Yes.
You know, absolutely fantastic, sir. I think this is a very good solution. Which it's not that these two schools today, those who have listened, but I believe I have transformed this transformation of education is already through this particular medium is already there, and I believe we'll be talking to this in my gradual forums when we'll have all the principal discussions coming up. In another week, we are having a session of 200 principals, and I think this to be discussed, which is very vital. I feel very, very vital for all everyone. So that's all from the presentation. I think all educators, we had a very good session, and you have understood how important is and which way we should go ahead. As such, we'll remain connected with the students in a very regular phenomenon way, and it will be fruitful to all the educators. That is only the purpose of getting connected with students during this pandemic, or even in the off time also. Thank you, Praveen sir. It was very nice to have you on today's platform. Your very, very precious time you have given us. I think the entire Doon family as well as DAV from Pune, they will be remembering you for the days to come, and hopefully we'll work it out in this. And if sometime it is required, I may connect you personally to talk to you how to implement and how to go ahead with this project.
Wonderful. My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you so much for your time.
So nice of you. Thank you. On behalf of my entire educators, thank you and namaskar, sir.
Namaskar. Namaskar. Thank you.
Thank you. That's all, dear friends. We were discussing with Praveen Malla, the very, very, I heard he's a technologically very sound person, and he has a very good solution today, and he has spoken to you. Nevertheless, whatever we do it, but I believe the concept at least you have understood. The concept you have got it. Thank you very much, all of you. We'll get back again this session tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Till then, goodbye.
Thank you, sir. Thanks.